Too many questions have been left unanswered for the Boise State football team this season. Who is the starting quarterback? What can the defense do to improve? And why has the standard been so difficult to achieve? For the first time in 25 years, the Broncos are staring at the idea of a losing season. As we hit mid-November, is this the moment the team comes together and finds those answers? Or will the unknown divide the team, fracturing not only this season, but the winning reputation of Boise State football? Bronco Roundup Game Day starts now.
Now, a special presentation from the KTVB Newsroom. Bronco Roundup Game Day starts now.
For the second to last time this season, the Boise State football team welcomes Bronco Nation inside Albertson Stadium. Tonight, the Broncos will look to bounce back and get in the victory column against the New Mexico Lobos, who sit at just 3-6 on the season. Welcome live inside Albertson Stadium, coming at you live from the Blue. I'm Tust alongside Brady, Frederick. It is game day in Boise. Once again, the Broncos need a win in the worst way as they try to track down bowl eligibility.
That's right. I mean, when you take a look at the schedule moving forward, Boise State needs to win 2 of their next 3 games. And of course, no disrespect to New Mexico or their team, and they never overlook anybody. But let's face facts, this is going to be their best opportunity for a win if they can take care of business tonight.
Now, obviously, we joined you on Channel 7 at 9 o'clock this morning for a Bronco Roundup Game Day show. We're back live on the Blue. One reason we're doing this is we wanted to check in on the status of Ashton Jeanty. The only place you will get that look live from the Blue right before kickoff is right here on the KTVB platform. So let's take a look, though, at what else we have coming up on the show today. In just a few minutes, a Prince and a Bolt. Which one is going to fill the shoes of Eric McAllister, who decided to transfer this week? A number of other things coming up on the show today. We're going to talk about a special night for the specialists last week in Fresno, and then coming up right around 7:40, our latest cut up with Kellen. He's going to highlight some of the plays that happened against Fresno State last week. 2 plays that he specifically picked out and wanted to highlight. We're going to learn a little football from Kellen Canijo. But first, we have to highlight the news of the week, and that is the departure of Eric McAllister.
That's right, Jay. I mean, it was a big surprise this week. You take a look at the stats. McAllister leads the Broncos in targets, catches, and receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. He had 873 receiving yards in the season, just 2 shy of the most in the Mountain West. Well on pace to become BSU's first 1,000-yard wide receiver since Khalil Shakir. So the timing of this one really strange, especially since against Fresno State, McAllister was targeted 19 times, more than any other player in the country that weekend. On Monday, the Bronco coaching staff expressed their surprise, but they say they're going to be looking for other guys to step up in the final stretch.
Yeah, it's certainly tough, and I'll just address it. I think nobody was probably more proud of what Eric accomplished than me. I mean, he's come a long way, and from his development through high school and to what he's done. I think the timing is the toughest thing. For me, my heart hurts, and just that we're talking about a guy that's up for the Bolitnikoff. He's 120 yards away from a 1,000-yard season, and those kind of seasons don't come often. I got a lot of love for him, but the timing on this one hurts. This is a resilient group. They've been through this, and by the nature of college football, I'm sure it'll happen more and more.
So this is what you could call some deep trouble for the Boise State football team. Eric McAllister really carried this offense when it came to the vertical passing attack. This is kind of a breakdown on how Eric compared against the rest of the Boise State wide receivers on throws that traveled at least 20 yards in the air. Eric targeted 28 times, 9 catches. The rest of the wide receivers combined 2 catches for 17 yards when trying to be targeted downfield. So who is going to step up for the Boise State football team tonight? There are a number of options, but those shoes are going to be hard to fill without Eric McAllister on the field for Boise State tonight. So that was really the talking point of this week. And, we can talk about Eric McAllister's departure. And, you know, it's a new era of college football. NIL, the transfer portal, they are influencing things, and it feels like we're only scratching the surface right now on what's to come, Brady.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked with Andy Avalos, he said this is the nature of the beast. It's the new world of college football that we live in. I mean, he even kind of insinuated that there are other coaches reaching out to players on the team, trying to get them to enter the transfer portal early. Maybe in McAllister's case, getting them to sit the rest of the season out. I mean, we know that's a violation of NCAA guidelines, but it's something that is definitely happening other places around the country, and it's something that has gone unregulated.
Yeah, technically they are operating outside the framework of the rules, but the NCAA is failing to monitor situations like this right now. And I'm all for the kids getting a chance to get paid and get their money. I think it's great, right? But I think the one thing that is a little, you worry about the integrity of the game. The transfer portal opens on December 4th. Programs that want to recruit guys and pay them money to go there aren't going to wait till December 4th to gauge their interest. It seems like that was the case with Eric McAllister's departure. Yes, there was much more to it than just that, but either way, it's the NCAA has to start enforcing this and monitoring it better than they're doing right now. And that way you're just not going to sacrifice the integrity of the game that we have come to know and love, college football. It is evolving. That is a great thing, but I don't want to see it get to a point where, again, guys can just easily pull out in the middle of a season to go chase an opportunity elsewhere.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things that I think defeats one of the best parts you get about college football, the underdog. Boise State prides themselves on that underdog mentality, but the unfortunate reality is you get a guy like Eric McAllister, maybe a hidden gem. You get him to come out to Boise State, he excels, he does better than all the scouts thought he would do, and then suddenly that's not Boise State's gain anymore. It's going to be some other school's gain because they're going to get their boosters to throw money at him.
Yeah.
And that takes away something that used to be very special, and I hope we haven't seen the end of it.
It's also something that built this program up, Brady. You know, this week on Jay's Sports Bar, former Boise State wide receiver Shane Williams-Rhodes joined me, and, well, we speculated on this topic. What if NIL and the transfer portal existed when Shane was in school? That was the Chris Peterson and Brian Harsin eras at Boise State, and the decision he would have made likely would have had a similar outcome to what we saw Eric McAllister make this week. If you were coming off your sophomore season in today's rules, right? Your sophomore year, you had 77 catches. That was tied for 28th most in the country. You had 702 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. All of those numbers on a smaller scale in the Mountain West Conference were near the top of the league. If you were coming off a season like that and TCU said, "Hey, Shane, what do you think about coming back to Texas, playing in front of your home state? We'll throw $100K your way. And you don't have to sit out, by the way, because those are the rules. You can play immediately for us." I don't know if we can guarantee you, by the way, like an exact starting position, but you're definitely going to be in the mix to be a contributor on our offense.
And TCU just went to the Natty the year before? Jay, that's a tough question.
You know, Shane, you really sound like you're hung up right now. How about this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call a couple people. We're going to go 200,000.
Yeah, Jay. Once again, to go back to economics. How do you say no to that?
I don't know how you say no to that.
How do you, as a 19-year-old kid, how do you say no to $200,000 and getting to go home?
Oh, I got one more stipulation, though, for you, Shane. By the way, I am speaking completely in hypotheticals right now. There's 3 games to go in the season. We really think you could help us out next year. This is a physical game. You know, you did have that high ankle sprain earlier in the year, which that might hit home because you did deal with ankle injuries.
I think we're just hitting home with all this. We're from Texas. It's TCU.
Right.
You know.
So I don't know if I want you to play in these final 3 games. I mean, I don't even know if your team's going to a bowl game.
Jay, it's tough. You know.
Hey, I'm just trying to present what these kids at 20, 21 years old are being faced with. And some of this might sound like hypotheticals, and it certainly is in this moment, but I guarantee you, if it's not at Boise State, these are realities at other Power 5 programs. I mean, this stuff is happening behind the scenes. It is crazier behind the scenes than what is even being presented in the public eye at this point in time.
I think if that was presented to me as the 19-year-old kid that was in Boise, Idaho in 2013, I don't see how I could say no.
No.
Because, I mean, Jay, we couldn't even go to Olive Garden. But me and my wife would go to Olive Garden, and people would pay for our bills. And because, you know, the old rule followers, we have to leave the same amount as the tip. I can't even go out and get a free meal, but you're going to offer me $200,000? Why wouldn't I leave?
Now for the players trying to fill the role of Eric McAllister's production. Talking with the coaching staff this week, they cited Austin Bolt and Prince Strawn as two guys we should be looking out for today. For Bolt, the local player out of Bora High School, last week was a special moment. His first career catch, something that he has been working for since he broke his leg in last year's season opener. But in that special moment, it was all worth the wait.
You know, everyone around here has been such a good piece about me staying here, and you know, Avalos has sat me down multiple times and saying that, you know, they still want to use me. They're praying for me, like we still know what kind of athlete you are. So, you know, everyone around here, you know, they've been, you know, best people I can have in my corner. I wouldn't want to have anyone else in the corner besides the people that I've been with, and it's been a long 14-month process, and they've been there every single day just help me out. So, you know, I can't thank them enough. You know, my family can't thank them enough. I can't thank my family enough, but they've been there every single day for me to help me get back to where I'm at right now.
Can't wait to see the type of contribution that Austin Bolt can make for this offense tonight. Watched him in high school, covered him in high school. One of the toughest, most competitive guys I've ever covered at that level. Let's get to a look at the tail of the tape of tonight's matchup. Boise State trying to get back to 500 on the season. Meanwhile, New Mexico's only 3-6, which means they have to win out in order to get to a bowl game. Boise State, as you can see right here, all the oranges on their side, meaning they're the predominant team in all the significant categories on offense and defense. We'll see if that can hold up this evening, though, when they take on the Lobos.
So despite being picked to finish last in the Mountain West Conference back at the beginning of the season, Mountain West Media Days, New Mexico has made strides this season. Although the steps forward have not really been drastic, they did beat Hawaii this year after going winless in Mountain West play last season. A lot of the focus on their team was the offensive side of the ball. They brought in a new offensive coordinator in Brian Vincent from UAB. He brought his experienced quarterback in Dylan Hopkins, and behind San Jose State's Chevin Cordero, no quarterback in the conference has started as many games. They believe that level of experience is going to make a huge difference as they continue this season's rebuild.
6'3", he's 230 pounds. He can run. He can throw it. He was like having a coach on the field with the install of a new scheme, coming with Coach Vincent from UAB. The guys on our team like him. I mean, we brought him to media days. To bring a transfer to media days is something. That means that he's got respect and he's a good leader. He should be a great addition to our football team.
On the field, I know that he can make every throw. He's a good leader. He's a fantastic leader. Can coach with somebody, get them out of a bad mood, get them out of a slump just because they drop a ball or mess up a route. All that keeps the team going, honestly.
But obviously our defense in the past has done a really good job, but I think our offense is going to change people's heads this year. I mean, I think obviously everyone in the league picked us last. I mean, not many expectations for people, but we're just going to have to go out there and prove it to them.
Absolutely.
So it's also worth noting it's the new cool thing to do this season. New Mexico also utilizes a two-quarterback system. True freshman Devin Dampier has gotten plenty of snaps under center this season. Definitely a guy they like to bring out in the wildcat formation and goal line sets. So it's fun to see that the wave is catching on in the Mountain West. Jay.
Is it fun to see?
It's debatable. I love a good gimmick when it works. I'll put it at that.
When it works, if it works, we'll see if Boise State can continue to make it work tonight against New Mexico. We're going to have an update on the starting quarterback tonight in just a moment, but first we got to highlight number 35, Jonah Dalmas. Prior to the season, I'm told that a kicker had never carried the Dan Paul hammer out on the field before. 2 weeks ago, punter James Ferguson Reynolds became the first. Today, Jonah Dalmas will become the second. Last week, Jonah went 3 for 3 on field goals against Fresno State. It's the 11th time in his career he's made at least 3 field goals in a game. In the fourth quarter, he also made his 5th career field goal of 50-plus yards. That last kick was also historic for another reason. Dalmas passed Kyle Brotzman on the all-time list at Boise State for career field goals made. He now has 69 and counting, Brady. He already holds the school record for career field goal percentage, making over 87% of his kicks. And 2 years ago, he set the single season record with 26 field goals made, again, in a single season. Jonah just scratching out all the names that ever existed before him here at Boise State when it came to kickers, and putting his name back in all the records here at Boise State.
Yeah, and it's really something you love to see. The local kid out of Rocky Mountain High School walks on to Boise State, proves to be one of the best kickers in the Mountain West in the country right now, and of course in Boise State history. You talk with any guy on the team also, it was a special moment team-wide for him to break that record. He even got a text from Kyle Brotzman after the game saying how meaningful it was, how Jonah Dolmas was the one they wanted to do it. Pretty special night.
I remind you, he once walked on at Boise State, and he has turned himself into an absolute legend here for the Broncos. His parents, Steve and Lisa, are up in the stands right behind the goalpost. You can see right there. That is where they always sit, ready to catch Jonah's, either his point after attempts or his field goal attempts. It's been fun to see this local kid become a star here on the blue for the Broncos. You will also notice the uniform that he's wearing. Boise State going with what they call dark mode, the black helmet, the black jerseys, and the black pants. What do you think, Brady?
I gotta be honest with you, Jay, the all-black look is probably my favorite Boise State uniform combination. I know everybody wants to see all blue on the blue, but man, you would come in with the all-black, it's like a business trip. And Boise State, I mean, they gotta take care of business tonight, so I like the move. You could argue, is it fair to wear all black when it's dark outside?
That's a great point. BYU of the past would certainly take an exception to that. James Ferguson Reynolds, Boise State's all-world punter. He made the Ray Guy Award semifinalist watch list this week. He's up for being the best punter in the country, and he's absolutely deserving of that honor. We're going to have more on him coming up in just a little bit.
Boise State, by the way,
and he can pass. Boise State, by the way, 7-4 all-time when wearing their all-black uniforms. We'll see if that success can continue tonight on the field against the Lobos, who are ready to embrace the chaos of playing in Boise.
I love going to play on the blue turf. New Mexico went up there in 2015. Not very many teams go up there and win. It's a great tradition. Blue is odd. Maybe we'll paint our grass blue or something to get the kids used to it this year, something inventive, I don't know. It's a unique place, and it's fun to go play.
I definitely know they've been a powerhouse for a long time. You know, I remember watching as a kid, watching Kellen Moore. I played quarterback back in the day. I mean, my dad played football at Virginia Tech, so I remember watching whenever they played Virginia Tech in that big opener game back in the day. So, I mean, I definitely watched them for a while. Definitely looking forward to playing them this year.
Honestly, it's no different than any other stadium to me for besides the blue field. Yeah, that's about it. The stands is kind of weird because, like, there's, like, I don't know, it's, like, so close up on you and so far at the same time. Yeah. Someone told me I had, like, like rodeos or something like that, because I remember when we went there's like, and you also had, like, we stayed at this hotel that had like a hockey game going in there, but I didn't get a chance to watch it, so I might catch one of those. I don't know. I might have to come out like another time to see it, but yeah.
Yeah, safe to say Dante's a pretty good character.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite guys we got to talk to, and I mean, there are so many other quotes we couldn't use. I mean, I asked him about their new starting quarterback for the transfer portal, Dylan Hopkins. He goes, I don't really know him that well. I asked him what he thought about Taylon Green and the turnaround Boise State had last year. He said, hey, I don't watch the other games. Fun guy all around, really.
Apparently he's very honest, too, for that matter.
How are you surprised about rodeos if you're from New Mexico? They have them down there.
Hey, let's get to look at these updated Mountain West Conference standings. As you can see, Boise State kind of hovering around the middle of these things. Colorado State, this game hasn't gone final, but the Rams just took a 22-3 lead on San Diego State. If San Diego State loses that game, they will be left out of a bowl game this year. Got to note, UNLV 8-2 on the season, super impressive. And Air Force, they will be landing in Boise here in a few weeks with their 8-1 overall record. Now, according to ESPN's Football Power Index, the Broncos have a 24.1% chance of winning out. Believe it or not, that is the best percentage of any other team in the Mountain West Conference. They're going to need to do it if they want a chance of playing for the Mountain West Conference Championship this season. Following last week's loss, FPI gives Boise State just just a 6.3% chance of winning the league this year. And I remind you, they were the preseason favorites all the way back in the summer. In the words of Lloyd Christmas, though, so you're saying there's a chance. We'll lean into it and hope. A 6-win regular season is still the most likely outcome for the Boise State football team at this point. A bit of good news showed up 2 weeks ago for the Boise State football team. Ashton Jeanty went down with an injury, but George Holani was able to work his way back against Wyoming. He was only supposed to play a few snaps, Brady, but with the injury to Jeanty, Holani took the lion's share and proved that he is ready to contribute once again for the Broncos.
You know, and that's what you got to love about George Holani. He's going to do anything he can to help this team out, even if he's fighting with his body to stay out on the field.
Yep.
And it's been impressive. We saw him make strides from Wyoming to Fresno State. We talked to Andy Avalos after the Fresno State game. He said, hey, George is looking a little bit more like his old self after that one. It'll be impressive to see if he can take another step forward today. He's been a great power runner, but we're going to see some explosivity coming out of the run game.
You can see Taylon Green warming up live on the blue. He has started the last 19 games for the Boise State football team ever since he took over when Hank Bachmeier entered the transfer portal after 4 games last year. Taylon has been the guy under center to start the game for the Boise State football team. That won't necessarily be the case this evening, though, as we have been told by Andy Avalos that Maddox Madsen will start this evening. Taylon's still expected to play a role, but it will be Maddox under center when this game kicks off against New Mexico, Brady.
It's been a lot of fun to watch this battle between them, and I mean, I know a lot of people have their take on which quarterback they like more, but Maddox Madsen, when you look at the numbers, has earned the starting job.
He has. We're going to get into that in just a second here as we give you that live look of the Broncos warming up on the blue, but I do want to finish up on George Holani really quick. He is a guy that has dealt with so much throughout his Boise State football career. Injuries have plagued him. We thought that he was going to have a big season this year, and he has missed most of the season due to injuries. Last week, though, he picked up 140 yards on 24 carries against Fresno State and proved that once again he is almost back to 100% for the Broncos. If Boise State's going to win tonight, Holani will be key on the roadmap to victory.
Bronco Roundup's Roadmap to Victory is sponsored by Treasure Valley Ford Stores.
It helps me a lot. It helps me keep perspective that I can just continue to come out and play the game that I love. So every time I'm on that field, I'm like, you know, playing every snap like it's my last game. I just got to be grateful that I get to be out there with my teammates. It was really good to be able to be full go, and there's no limited rep. Just being able to go out there and just, you know, get loose.
Pistol formation. Madsen turns around, hands it off to Holani, left side. Holani to the 45, Holani to the 50, a gain of 9.
I felt a lot better out there and continuing to get in rhythm and figuring out, like, you know, what cuts I can make and how am I able to just make dudes miss and figure out which tools I can bring out the box.
Zone read, Holani left side, shoots through to the 30, to the 25, another first down. George Holani, who passed the 3,000-yard mark tonight.
Yeah, that spin move.
Getting past 50 yards in the first half right there.
I didn't even know I was going to spin, honestly. I just ended up doing it. I'm like, yeah, I just did that.
I see how hard he works every day and how he shows up. And, you know, George is one of those guys that's going to put his head down and grind as much as he can. So to see him go out there and ball, I love it.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel ready to go, and it's going to be exciting, especially we're back on the blue. Get Bronco Nation back out there. Hyped up.
Green screen left side. Holani caught it at the 18, left side to the 30, to the 40, following blockers to midfield into Fresno State territory at the Fresno 46-yard line.
I mean, you can, you know, give football your everything, and it doesn't love you back sometimes. So just being able to keep perspective that I can continue to just play the game I love and, yeah, just be out there.
Well, Holani will have a new QB under center, as we've mentioned, when this game starts. Maddox Madsen is going to make his first collegiate start tonight against the New Mexico Lobos, Brady.
Yeah, and it's going to be an exciting one because when you take a look at last week, it felt gimmicky. They brought out Taylen Green for a single play. He handed it off to George Holani, and then they subbed him out immediately. I mean, that's not helping anybody when you take a look at this team. It doesn't help Maddox find an early rhythm if he's going to be the guy leading the offense, and it's got Taylen kind of standing around wondering what he's doing. He didn't get an opportunity to go make a play, even though they've been saying they're competing and trying to earn reps throughout the game.
Look at this live shot. We got both quarterbacks on the blue warming up. You can see Maddox Madsen standing behind starting center Mason Randolph. Just another indication that this is going to be Maddox's show tonight. Maddox has appeared in 8 of 9 games so far this season. He's received a lion's share of the playing time, though, since Avalos and Bush Hamden decided to move to this 2 QB system a month ago. Maddox has the superior QB efficiency rating in passing situations and on third downs. Despite the swap of starters, Avalos did say that he expects Taylen Green to be a big part of today's game plan.
Still continue to play. We feel like this will be even a greater opportunity to get TJ involved in the game and have him present in the game more than he has in the last couple of games, and so we're really looking forward to building on the production that we had as an offense. Our production has really gone up, since we've been using the 2 quarterbacks, and we intend to keep using both quarterbacks.
Now, this is how the quarterbacks have fared during this quarterback carousel that has spanned about a month now. Taylen Green, over the last 4 games, just 13 of 24. Meanwhile, Maddox Madsen, 53 of 89. Clearly, Maddox getting the volume in the passing game. 670 passing yards for Maddox. I think the thing that stands out to me, the touchdown to interception ratio, both 1-to-1 for both. That has to improve regardless of who is under center. Another thing that was a bit of a surprise, quarterback efficiency rating. During the last 4 games, Taylen Green's is actually slightly better than Maddox Madsen's. You can see the snap count, though. I know Taylen's been the starter technically, but Maddox Madsen has played 186 snaps compared to 104 for Taylen Green. So we'll see if the trend continues tonight. Now, I do want to mention, Andy was saying that he expects Taylen to still have a big-time role in this offense tonight. Maybe by swapping starters, that actually does help him. Whenever the Broncos get behind the chains on 1st and 2nd down, that is when they lean on Maddox Madsen in the passing attack. If they can stay ahead of the chains, maybe they can actually utilize Taylen more this week than they have in the last few weeks. And also, if they can have more red zone possessions, that would favor TG10 as well.
Well, I'm really in favor of and optimistic in seeing Taylen Green get a bigger role in this offense, because when you look at what he brings to the table, his size, mostly his speed, it feels like they've been underutilizing him.
In all honesty, I don't know what's going through the mind of Taylen Green at this point in time, but I will say this. I think you can commend the kid because the season hasn't gone as he probably had hoped. Certainly as it hasn't gone as he had hoped. If so, he'd still be the starting quarterback at Boise State. But there's the transfer portal, there are other opportunities, and he stays committed to his team to finish, well, at least this game so far. We saw George Holani walking by, our cameraman on the field, live on the blue. That's Breezy Dubar, the true freshman. I will say, as we kind of sift through the running backs here, it's noticeable who isn't with them. Number 2, Ashton Genty, not out on the field. He left the Wyoming game in the first quarter. He missed the Fresno State game altogether. And if this is any indication, the Broncos are going to be short-handed at running back again tonight without the most explosive player in the Mountain West Conference available to them, Brady.
Yeah, and they're going to have their work cut out for them. Without their best wide receiver, without their best running back, they're going to be looking for other guys to step up. It's not only going to be George Holani. Guys like Breezy Dubar, Austin Bolt, Prince Strawn, Billy Bowens, and Steph Cobbs have a big opportunity to make something happen tonight.
Hey, maybe Bronco Nation has a big opportunity to fire up the fan base or fire up the players. We were told over 34,000 tickets are out for this game. I have been covering this program for quite some time. They have had teams with records much better than this in mid-November where they could not get 34,000. people in the stands here at Albertson Stadium, considering they're playing a lackluster Lobos team that's only 3-6 themselves. The administration has hit a home run once again. Boise State looking for Prince Strawn to hit a home run tonight. Had a big catch last week, but his role is going to significantly increase this week, Brady.
And it was fun to see because it was another new thing. We hadn't seen it from him. We got to see his run after the catch. Picked up a lot of yak yards. But now we've seen a lot of good things from his sample size. He can catch in traffic, he can run after the catch, and he can go deep and pull one down. It's a bright future for the freshman wide receiver. Kind of got to see when the future is going to start for this guy.
Yeah. 30 minutes to go until kickoff between Boise State and New Mexico. We're going to keep it here live on the field while I tell you about the honorary captains for today's game. Senior defensive tackle Micah Callahan will fill one of those rotating spots. Callahan has 11 tackles and a sack on the season. Joining him this evening, six-year senior wide receiver Billy Bowens, who has 16 catches for 234 yards on the full. And last week he also scored his first touchdown of the 2023 campaign in Fresno. More on Bronco Roundup Game Day right after this.
You talk about a guy that, I mean, is extremely banged up and finds a way to not only play the game, but continue to play relentlessly. Obviously, he's not able to do some of the things that he's normally able to do. That's just the reality of when you're banged up and injured. But he finds a way to play at a very high level in regards to how he pursues, how he plays violently, how he communicates, with still knowing that he's fighting his tail off. We had, a linebacker that got sick before the game. Marco wasn't able to play the game, getting injured. So there's just some things that happened from Wyoming to kickoff that put DJ in a situation where he went from having to play 20-some snaps to playing 70. And you talk about an absolute warrior that embodies the blue-collar toughness that we want to obviously be in every single one of our players, every single one of our coaches. I mean, that's DJ Schramm.
I know we talked about how tough George Holani is. Man, DJ Schramm really is a warrior. He was only supposed to play about 20 snaps last week. He didn't miss a single snap for the defense, playing all 70 snaps against the Bulldogs. His toughness has been tested, but he loves this game so much, and he continues to appreciate every opportunity he gets to suit up in the blue and orange, or in this case tonight, the black and blue.
All black everything. I mean, you take a look at George Holani and DJ Schramm, not two very similar guys, but they actually really do have a lot in common based on the fact of a couple things. One, leadership that is mostly by example and what they do on the field to show the other guys who are coming up what it takes to play linebacker, what it takes to play running back. And two, because how much they care about this team, how much they love it, how much they're willing to sacrifice to stay on the field and try to push this team towards a win.
Just a few more minutes of warm-ups to go. You can see Colt Fulton right there. He carried out the hammer last week in Fresno following a 2-point conversion against Wyoming 2 weeks ago, the last time the Broncos were on the blue. Boise State getting ready to go to battle. You can see the offensive linemen right there. They have been oh so good. Easily the strongest part of the Boise State football team this season, and a big part of it, their physicality and their consistency, Brady.
And that consistency has been really impressive because the lineups have been inconsistent. They've rotated a lot of guys around. They've had to have some young guys start games. It really doesn't feel like they've ever missed a beat. We haven't been talking about the quarterbacks not having enough time and the running backs not having enough holes. They've done a great job, even though they were kind of a question mark when we were talking about this 5 or 6 months ago, Jay.
Yeah, they have certainly answered any questions about them. Austin Bolt, the pride of Bora High School, getting ready to roll on the blue tonight. This will be the biggest opportunity he has ever had as a Bronco. Likely going to be starting his first game as a collegiate football player. Again, I am so excited to see what he can do for the Broncos. Also excited to see the continued success of Boise State's kicking game, Brady.
Absolutely, Jay. I mean, the special teams, sometimes it can fly under the radar, but Boise State has a pair of guys who are among the best in the nation at their positions, so they're really not allowing you guys to ignore them. They hit some special milestones last weekend. Punter James Ferguson Reynolds threw his first career pass on a fake 4th down conversion. Kicker Jonah Domas hit his 68th career field goal. That's special because it put him alone at the very top of the Boise State all-time leaderboard. We caught up with them this week to hear about what was a special night for the special teams. Although it's an often overlooked phase of the game, Boise State specialists have been impossible to ignore. Jonah Dalmas with big-time kicks, James Ferguson Reynolds with booming punts, and even some riskier operations.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool, calm, and that's something I learned off Jonah a lot with. You know, he's been elite in what he does, and I kind of learned off him, and he's so cool and calm, so I've kind of gathered that, and so I was calm going into it.
Averaging 50 yards a punt tonight, and it's a fake pass. It's caught by Boise State's Jaden Virgin, a former high school tight end, and he's going to get the first down.
For a guy who grew up playing Aussie rules football, it was new ground.
It felt very weird. Yeah, in Aussie rules, you normally handball the ball, so it was, yeah, very weird to do that.
It is the gutsy play of the game, going for it on 4th down. Ferguson Reynolds threw the pass, the first time he's ever thrown a pass.
Me and Jonah throw on the sidelines a lot. I think I throw more than I kick, actually, so yeah, dream come true. It was cool.
And with the offense staying out on the field, it would lead to another career moment. Dalmas setting a new standard for the specialists.
And from the left hash.
Another clean operation. Great snap, great hold, great kick.
And it's just kind of one of those things where when you know it comes off your foot, you know it's going in.
And Dalmas's kick is good.
A special moment for the special teams.
And Dalmas has the Boise State all-time record with 68 made field goals.
It's awesome, and I mean, as him being my holder too and going out with me for the operation and making sure that we get the job done, it means everything. I've gotten a chance to get really, really close to James, and it's cool. We kind of joke around about it too. He's just like, hey, how does it make it feel that I set that record, break it up, like kick up for you? And so it's just a good laugh.
Yeah, I actually laughed with him in the week and just said, you're welcome. I got you that record kick, which is pretty cool, but yeah, it was good to get an opportunity like that and have an impact with the team and get down there and get some points on the board.
Just enjoy that moment with close friends and good teammates, and especially a guy like James. It was a really special moment.
And celebrated beyond the active roster, with former Bronco kicker Tyler Rossa there to join the celebration from the sideline.
No, it was amazing because Ross has just been kind of one of those guys since day one. You know, he took me underneath his wing, and he knew the college process, and I think it was a really special moment just because he's been a guy that's just always had my back, never given up on me, always willing to help, always willing to work with me, and leading up to this point, it was awesome to be able to give him that hug after that kick.
Well, we have some breaking news. We have an injury update on a number of guys. As we expected, Ashton Jeanty officially has been ruled out tonight. The Broncos will be without the most explosive and productive player, not just in the Mountain West, but maybe in all of college football for a second straight game, Brady.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough. I mean, we're glad that we can see George Holani out there warming up, but it has been hard to see Ashton Jeanty so close to a 1,000-yard rushing season. I mean, I hope he can get back out before the season ends.
The depth at that slot receiver position also going to be tested. Steph Cobbs and Chase Penry both out of this game. That could mean a true freshman like Jackson Greer could find his way onto the football field tonight. That's going to be really interesting to see who Boise State lines up in the slot and tries to utilize. But no Steph Cobbs, no Chase Penry. Obviously, Eric McAllister is out as he has decided to leave the program. Boise State, man, this is going to be one heck of a challenge when it comes to throwing the ball tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Boise State prides themselves on being a developmental program. They've really liked what they've seen out of some of these guys coming up. But, I mean, they're going to be thrown into the fire tonight. They're going to have a chance to win some jobs, though.
Yeah, one more key contributor that won't be on the field for Boise State tonight, Riley Smith. We saw him leaving that Fresno State game last week with his arm in a sling, kind of continues to battle shoulder injuries as he tries to be available for the final few games of his college football career. Matt Ladder, though, it looks like he will be able to return this week after missing last week's game. On the defensive side of the ball, Tyler Wegas won't be in action tonight. He's missed quite a few games this season. Ty Benefield, a bit of a surprise to pop up on the injury report. He will be unavailable tonight. Dimitri Washington going to miss yet another game. The sixth-year senior has meant so much to this football team in terms of his leadership, but injuries continue to get the best of him, Brady.
Yeah, no, when you take a look at Dimitri Washington, Riley Smith, even when they're not out on the field, their leadership is still out on the field. They still play a huge role for this team. I know we'd all love to see them out on the field with their production, but they're doing everything they can to get these next guys in line, lined up the right way, and doing their part. They're 111th.
I know we talked about how DJ Schramm had to play all 70 snaps last week at Fresno. Might have to do it again tonight against the New Mexico Lobos. No Marco, no Triani.
That one is potentially one of the biggest things for this group. Marco Notriani, unavailable last week as well, but he has been one of the best stories of this year, one of the most consistent guys, and it's tough at that linebacker spot. It's going to test their depth with an already banged up DJ Schramm doing whatever he can to stay out there.
I mean, Marco is the leading tackler on this team. We thought that was going to be DJ Schramm, but it is just tough to find really consistency within the starting lineups this year. A lot of injuries, a lot of youth. Right when someone else gets healthy, someone goes down. That is evident at the quarterback position, where it looked like against Wyoming, Boise State was going to have George Holani and Ashton Genty available to them. Those two were supposed to be a part of a really extensive offensive package that Bush Hamden was going to utilize this season.
We've never really gotten the opportunity to see both of them out on the field. We were so excited about all the combinations and unique play designs they could have. I think we've seen a taste of it with Caden Dudley filling the role on occasion, but man, it would be so special to see both of those guys out there, especially when you take a look at how much Ashton Genty has looked up to George, how George has taken him under his wing, and they really haven't been able to share the field together this year.
See Cade Beresford right in the heart, the huddle, with the offensive linemen as we're set to get the final stages of pregame warm-ups. Cade is going to make his 23rd consecutive start for the Boise State football team. Ever since he transferred over from Washington State, he has been a fixture on the offensive line for the Broncos. 23 straight starts for number 71. One more quick note, what you were talking about with Ashton Genty and George Holani. We got to see that for a half in the season opener at the University of Washington, and then half of the first quarter against the University of Wyoming. Hopefully Ashton can make it back in time to chase 1,000 yards. He's only 79 yards away from the 1K mark on the season. I know that has meaning to him, because that would have meaning to any running back. Hopefully he can return and help this football team win some games and get bowl eligible down the stretch. They got to win 2 out of their final 3. The trip to Logan next week is going to be easier than whatever they're faced this week. And then after that, Air Force Black Friday on the blue. This just feels like a must-win game, Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe if there was a time to be a little bit banged up to hold some guys out of the game, I guess you could say that this would be it. But the stakes are high as ever. You're going to lose all of your momentum if you can't get this one done tonight, because looking ahead, Air Force and Utah State are some very tough teams.
We got Tom Scott on the blue, a special appearance maybe from Tom Scott here on the Bronco Roundup Game Day Show.
Come on, Tom, get out here.
The guys continuing to go through their pregame warm-ups. Maddox Madsen talking with Matt Miller, some of the wide receivers gathered around him. Going to kind of be an interesting evening on the blue for the Broncos. Tom Scott, Stephon Cobbs out tonight. Chase Penry out tonight. Eric McAllister out of the program.
Yes.
What do you think of the wide receiver situation for the Broncos?
Well, Billy Bowens, I mean, we've been saying all year that it's time for Billy Bowens, but as I said on the pregame show, he is only 2 catches and 10 yards away from where he was last year at this time. So Billy hasn't been that bad, but now it's all about Prince Strawn and Austin Bolt.
An eternal optimistic approach to covering Boise State football. Tom, we appreciate you joining us inside the warmer, comfy confines of KTVB studios tomorrow.
I will be there. I will report for duty.
I'm going to get the trivia question tomorrow.
Well, I'm sure
I didn't get today's. That was a number one.
No, I don't think
hard.
you're going to get it. You're not gonna get it.
Tom Scott,
This
everybody,
guy never has faith
appreciate
in me
you
for
stopping by
anything.
the show. DJ Schramm. All 70 snaps last week. He had 5 tackles, a tackle for loss as well. He's a team captain. They need him more than ever. Another guy, George Holani, a leader of this team. Seems like he's certainly bouncing back. I think we'll see the best version of George Holani we've seen this season tonight against the Lobos. He's starting to feel more confident, really trust himself. He said he broke out a spin move last week as he tries to see what is in his toolbox that allows him to break as many tackles as he does. Apparently the spin move's back in the toolbox.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got a lot of things in his bag. I think we might be a long way from him trying to hurdle over somebody. But in the meantime, I mean, if you were to look at it last year and say, hey, Boise State was going to be a little bit banged up today, they were going to be missing some guys, but they were going to have a healthy George Holani to take on New Mexico, I think you like your odds.
We're going to stay out live on the blue looking at some of these rotations. The starting offense is about to break a huddle and go up against the backup defensive unit. The receivers that are breaking the huddle, Shea Whiting, an older senior. You have Prince Strawn at wide receiver who just caught a pass. Austin Terry at tight end. So we're going to see some new guys out here, and maybe this actually could even be an occasion where we see a guy like Ben Ford contribute. He's been stuck down the depth chart trying to get back from an injury. Cole Wright certainly feels like he's going to have a presence in this passing attack tonight. And honestly, we might have to check the depth chart for some of the names we see pop up in this game tonight, Brady.
Oh, man, we just saw a great fade from Austin Bolt. Hope to see something like that in the game. But you mentioned Shea Whiting. I mean, we haven't seen a ton from him this season. That's a guy the coaching staff has been extremely high on through fall camp and through practice. They say he's a great competitor and a guy who does all the little things. I'd be on the lookout for him, see if he gets an opportunity tonight.
Well, that is going to do it for pregame warm-ups. The guys are about to retreat into the locker room. The next time we see them out on the field will be for game time against Boise State and New Mexico. Before we send you away, though, the defense trying to continue to take another step. Ahmed Hassanin has a sack in 6 out of his last 7 games. He ranks near the top of the Mountain West Conference in sacks and tackles for loss. They need him to continue to be a force on defense tonight. A former force on this Boise State defense was all Mountain West safety Kekala Kaniho. We've been having some fun with him in studio these last few weeks, trying to tap into his knowledge of this game that makes him so gosh darn unique. We're calling it a cut-up with Kekala, and last week he watched the Fresno State game, and 2 plays stood out to him in particular. Take a listen.
It's a handoff. It's Sherrod. He's not going to get back to the line of scrimmage. Simpson for the stop. And it's going to be a loss on the play back to the 30-1. So Boise State now with an opportunity here to get off the field on 3rd down, force a long field goal for Fresno State.
It's time now to take a closer look at a couple of plays from the Fresno State game. Our latest cut up with Kekala, the former Boise State all Mountain West safety. We begin with a defensive play by the Broncos. This is first quarter. Boise State's facing a 2nd and 10 on the Fresno State 30-yard line, trying to prevent points at this point in time. And what do you see out of the Broncos here?
1st and 2nd down in these situations, it's still a rundown for the offense because they don't have that much more of the field to go, and they usually know I can kick a field goal here if all else fails. And so they line up in a formation here where they've got 2 running backs in the backfield and 1 tight end, and that's called 21 personnel, which most times is a running personnel for teams. And so as a defense, you're ready and anticipating the run, and then you still got to read your keys and see what happens once the ball is snapped. When Fresno snaps the ball, they run what's called a gap scheme, where they block down on the front side of the play and try to wash the defensive line down as far away as they can, and they're going to bring 2 guys from the opposite side of the ball, which in this case was the opposite guard and the tight end, and pull them around to create new gaps on the front side where the ball is running. And so whenever you get gap schemes as a defense, what you want to make sure you do is you reestablish where those gaps are and who's fitting in those gaps. And so you can see our defensive end here does a great job of setting, boom, hits that guard right there at the line of scrimmage and resets where the line of scrimmage and that gap is going. And so he essentially cuts off the rest of the field here. Same thing on the outside of the formation here. Safeties can get down in the run fit too, and you see Alex Toomer just come down and lay the hit on this running back. Boom, so he sets the edge too. And at that point, we've got 2 guys on defense who cut off the rest of this field, which if you're playing linebacker, which Drew is doing here very well, all your job is to fit off of the guys that set that edge in front of you and lets you know where the clean gap is going to be. And it's easy for him to just fall right back down the line, You'll see him just be patient, fall right back down, boom, right into that same gap that the running back is seeing. Tackle for loss Broncos, which puts them on a 3rd and 11 down here in the red zone, which is very advantageous for the defense.
Fresno State ends up having to kick a field goal. Jaden Virgin, by the way, he's a guy that's really starting to come on, a redshirt freshman that's filling the shoes of Dimitri Washington, a 6-year senior who's injured. And this play, not necessarily going to show up on the stat sheet for the kid, but he definitely really makes this play for the Broncos.
From the 11-yard line, it's a give to Holani. Holani over the right side. There's 3,000, gets to the 20, out across the 25, still going, and gets knocked down on the 28-yard line. Gain of 17 for George Holani, but he jumps over the 3,000 mark on his career. First down, Boise State.
Okay, now we go to the offensive side of the ball. George Holani in his 2nd game back, super productive for the Boise State football team. Starting to kind of look like old George Holani or peak shape George Holani. This is a play where Boise State's backed up. They're at their 11-yard line, trying to get this drive started, 89 yards away from their end zone. How do they get into a scenario where they can find a little bit of breathing room here?
The defense here is kind of smelling blood in the water of, hey, we've got them backed up on the ropes here. Let's, be a little bit aggressive with how we're attacking. And our offense comes out here in a similar type of formation where they've got 2 running backs and 1 tight end, so 21 personnel, which is more of a running personnel. But instead of running a gap scheme, what we're going to run is just the simplest play in football. Zone, run right on the inside. As soon as the ball's snapped, the O-lineman, nobody's pulling, nobody's moving. They're all just zoning one way, block the man that's in front of you, and then climb up to the next level and create space for the running back to find a hole based off of your guys' blocks. The interior of those 5 guys inside is very simple. It's just a zone run play. Where this play gets more complicated for the defense is the action that you'll see 1 from the quarterback and then 2 from our tight end and our other running back who's gonna, what we call, rim across the formation and come opposite from where those interior linemen are blocking. And if you watch what that does to the defense, our tight end here doesn't even touch this defensive end for Fresno. And what that means is our quarterback is looking at that guy to read whether he's going to pull the ball and run with 2 lead blockers out here, or if this guy sits and is very patient, waiting for him to keep the ball, where you can see in his position here, he's so far away from where that inside zone is going.
He's out of the play now.
That's a give all day. You already took 1 guy out of the play from that run fit just by letting him go free and showing a zone read action. We've got 2 linebackers, a safety, and a corner who are all down here getting ready to stop the run. When our other running back rims across the formation, all 4 of these guys start falling back this way, opposite from where the actual ball is going. And so we've taken, by moving 2 guys post-snap, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys completely out of the run fit just by showing the possibility of our running quarterback holding onto that ball. And so what that does for George, it makes it real easy for him to just run with 4 blockers on 3 guys and finds a hole where he's not touched until he gets, boom, 12 yards down the field. And then I think the best part of this play, we get George Holani spinning off of safeties in George Holani fashion. But look at our O-lineman chasing him down. They push him for another 3 yards at the end of this play once he's wrapped up. And we immediately flip the field from being on the 10-yard line to now almost on the 30-yard line, which is a great drive starter.
20 yards downfield, still pushing the pile. Another cut up with Kellen.
That's right.
Kellen Canijo, the best. Love his film breakdowns. The cool part of tonight's game, maybe the coolest part, is we're going to see the new lights in action. The first really night game here at Albertson Stadium since we've had the new LED lights.
Yeah, it's absolutely the silver lining of an 8 o'clock late night November kickoff. I'll tell you what, it's going to be really fun to see the lights and the atmosphere that the fans are going to bring. I'll tell you what, Bronco Nation certainly answered the call as we take a look and see the fans starting to fill up the stands and trying to make it the raucous atmosphere that we talked about New Mexico trying to get prepared for.
Kind of a cool moment just happened. I don't know how much we should read into it because they just said Steph Cobbs was starting the game at wide receiver and he has officially been ruled out tonight. But when they did announce Austin Bolt's name as a starting wide receiver tonight, the crowd erupted. It was easily the best reaction for any name that was announced over the PA system when they revealed the starting lineups. You can see the students in full force tonight. The stand's pretty packed over there, Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm impressed to see it. If you're a student, I mean, you got to love this, no matter how the team's doing. This is how you spend your Saturday nights when you're a student in college.
Oh, shit. We actually got a special guest as we continue to wrap up the pregame show. Mike Sanford, back in the house that he built.
I did not build this house. This house was built by a lot of other people that are way better at football and coaching than I am. I promise you that.
This is my mic. I'll say what I want to say. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're back in town, though. First time since 2014. How does it feel to be back?
It feels amazing. It's emotional. It's all the things. Just seeing Bronco Nation, seeing the team, like. This place formed who I am, and so it's a bit of an emotional night.
I saw Johnny Mallory earlier this week, and we were kind of discussing, what do you think they're going to announce when they announce that you're raising the Blue Chaos flag? Best offensive coordinator in the country in 2014. What's your title going to be, do you think?
I think my title is going to be 38 career pass attempts, which will be by far the least amount of stats for anybody that's ever raised the Blue Chaos flag, but it is an absolute honor. Yeah. You know, for us, we were coming to this game either way, and it just worked out to be a really amazing night for me and my wife.
I know your wife is here. Tell us a little bit about the family. How much have you guys grown since you left Boise, which is insane to think almost a decade ago?
I know, and it's funny, like even this trip is the first time that we've really spent time here in 9 years. And our family, our second child was born here in Boise on the night before we played CSU in 2014, and then we had a third child at South Bend. So we have 3 kids. They're 13, 9, and 7, and they're all Boise State fans. You know, my youngest, Griffin, as you know, was absolutely heartbroken after the CSU game because he left at halftime, which you should never leave a game at halftime, but Anne-Marie got her way on that one.
Mike, we appreciate you swinging by the Bronco Roundup Game Day Show. Enjoy tonight, man. You are, you're going to downplay it, but you're a legend here. That 14 Fiesta Bowl doesn't happen without you and that brilliant brain of yours calling plays for Grant Hedrick, Jay Ajayi, and well, now that I mentioned it, you did have some pretty good players.
There were some good players. Jay Ajayi and Shane Williams-Rhodes, your buddy, yeah. They made things a lot easier, and what a time to be here on the Blue. And right now, this is when Boise State needs all of us the most, and I'm so glad to be here on this amazing Saturday night.
Go have fun tonight, Mike. We appreciate you stopping by.
Appreciate it, brother.
Mike Sanford, again, without him, the 2014 Fiesta Bowl, hey, maybe it doesn't even happen. He was one of the brilliant play callers of that season here in Boise. But it has been a fun show. We're going to wrap this thing up. Some quick keys to the game, Brady. Win the turnover battle. Boise State, -7 in turnover margin on the season. One of the worst in the country. Win the turnover battle tonight. What do you got?
Yeah, mine's going to be a little on the nose. We've probably talked about it the entire time, but you got to see some production out of the wide receiver room. Eric McAllister is a hard guy to replace. I'm not saying one guy has to take the whole workload himself, but you got to keep Maddox Madsen's passing numbers up, and the only way to do that is for other guys to get involved.
Just a reminder, the Boise State men's basketball team has a game tomorrow at 2 o'clock. They host San Francisco. You can watch that live on Idaho's very own 24/7. It will also stream live on KTVB Plus and KTVB.com. We will have extended highlights and post-game reaction tomorrow on Sunday Sports Extra. If you're up late, stay close to KTVB.com. You can watch Andy Avalos' press conference once this one wraps up. Been a fun pregame show. We appreciate you joining us. For Brady Frederick, I'm Jay Tust. Enjoy game day, everybody.